Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for coming to share with us this Tuesday regular meetings on some trainings about the products in Green World. Nice to see you again, and today we have a special presentation, and the topic will be nutrition and brain health. The nutrition of your body and how it affects your brain health. That's the topic today. As you all know, what you put in your body affects every part of your body, including the brain. So today we are going to take a look closely at what happens when we do ingest or we eat some kinds of different foods, how they affect our brain function, and so on. It's a great topic for all of us as we age, and it'll be interesting to see what products are there in Green World that we need to take in order to have a healthy brain. So your diet shapes your mind. This is a very good saying. Your diet shapes your mind. Think about it. Your brain is always on. It takes care of your thoughts and movements, your breathing and heartbeat, your senses. It works hard 24/7, even while you are asleep. This means your brain requires a constant supply of fuel, and that fuel comes from the foods you eat. And what is in that fuel makes all the difference. Put simply, what you eat directly affects the structure and function of your brain and ultimately your mood. Lots of people don't know this, that whatever they are eating will eventually affect the function of the brain and the moods. You see people very different moods at one time. The next 10 minutes, there are different moods and so on. So that must come from what they eat. Like an expensive car, your brain functions best when it gets only premium fuel. Eating high-quality foods that contain lots of vitamins, minerals, and antioxidants nourishes the brain and protects it from oxidative stress. The waste, these are the free radicals produced when the body uses oxygen, which can damage the cells. Unfortunately, just like an expensive car, your brain can be damaged if you ingest anything other than premium fuel. If substances from low premium, that's fuel, such as what you get from processed or refined foods, when they get to the brain, it has little ability to get rid of them. So diets high in refined sugars, for example, are harmful to the brain. In addition to worsening your body's regulation of insulin, they can also promote inflammation and oxidative stress. Multiple studies have found a correlation between a diet high in refined sugars and some of the impaired brain functions, and even a worsening of symptoms of mood disorders such as depression start to show up in society. So there's an epidemic of mental illness in North America and in Canada. For the start, nutrition affects your mental health in addition to your physical health. Remember that. I should repeat this. Nutrition affects your mental health in addition to your physical health. Very, very important. Most of the people pay attention to their physical health. They don't care about the mental health that also is affected by nutrition. Nearly 1 in 5 American adults will have a diagnosable mental health condition in any given year. And 46% of Americans will meet the criteria for a diagnosable mental health condition sometime in their life. Things are not better in Canada. Half of Canadians will have faced some level of mental health issues by the time they turn 40. Young people in Canada are the group most likely to have mental health issues or conditions. Young people are continuously getting worse and worse in terms of mental health, as I observe in Canada. 38% of Indigenous people reported poor or fair mental health as well. And mental health among Canadians is 3 times worse than before the COVID pandemic. Subtle indicators of cognitive decline can start in early adulthood. So it is important for all adults to take steps to protect their brain health for long-lasting optimal function. In the following sections, we will discuss the factors that negatively impact brain health and should be avoided, as well as how nutrient deficiencies can affect mental well-being and increase the risk of mental disorders. There are substances that some people use or misuse that normally cause mental damage. Before we dive in the details of nutrients that benefit our brain function, let us take a look at the substance we use or misuse that potentially damage our brain health. Substance use or misuse can affect your health, causing loss of appetite, poor food choices, gastrointestinal problems, or organ damage. People who are dealing with mental or emotional health issues should avoid these substances. And these substances include alcohol, marijuana, opioids, stimulants, and food additives. So I'll start with alcohol, which is so common. As a depressant, alcohol can cause you to feel depressed and sad. As an appetite stimulant, it can make you more hungry than usual after you drink. It also lowers your body's ability to burn fat as energy, and this can lead to weight gain. As people drink more alcohol, they may start to skip meals or drink instead of eating. This can lead to not eating enough healthy foods, which can cause health problems. In fact, alcohol can also have negative effect on your brain function. At first, alcohol increases the neurotransmitter dopamine, which makes a person feel good. A lot of people are caught in this trap. When they take alcohol, they feel good. They feel fantastic. They are high. But over time, alcohol increases loss of memory and coordination and lowers the ability to grow new brain cells. So if you drink alcohol on a daily basis, you start feeling high, you feel good, over time, this will affect and lower the ability for you to grow new brain cells. Drinking alcohol can raise the chances of getting different types of cancers and liver disease. It can also harm the pancreas, which is important for digestion and blood sugar control. So that is alcohol. The next one on this list is marijuana. Marijuana can increase the appetite, especially for unhealthy junk foods. A lot of people I see, those who don't have appetite, they start to use marijuana as an appetizer. Eating too much of these foods after you take marijuana can lead to weight gain and not getting enough nutrients over time. Regular marijuana users may not get enough essential fatty acids like omega-3 and omega-6, and this lack can weaken the immune system and make it harder for the wounds to heal. The next on this list is opioids. Common side effects of taking opioids are things like constipation, things like nausea, and vomiting. As opioid use increases, people start to have side effects that can lead to not eating enough food, which can cause malnutrition. Okay, so opioids are deadly. People start to lose weight, become skinny as they continue to use opioids. Then we have, but this also can affect, as I said, the brain health. Then we have stimulants on this list. These substances can cause increased energy or euphoria and decreased appetite. Users may stay up for extended periods of time, repeatedly using the drug, this stimulant. This can lead to dehydration and not eating enough food, which can cause malnutrition over time. So that's some of the substances that people use or misuse. Then we have food additives. Food additives are everywhere on these grocery shelves. Foods that sometimes have different colors, textures, and all sorts of tastes. But lots of additives have been added to these kinds of foods. Now, what happens when you eat this kind of food? First of all, there's neurotoxicity, direct damage to your brain cells. Okay, so very dangerous for kids, especially those who are growing up. And some additives, particularly in very high amounts or with chronic exposure, can be directly toxic to neurons, the brain cells. Synthetic food colorings, e.g. tartrazine, and the preservative sodium benzoate. These are all additives that can affect your brain cells. Some studies, particularly on children, have linked these to increased hyperactive behavior. I talked about this behavior in my last presentation last Tuesday, autism and ADHD. I talked about some of the foods and the food additives that can trigger these kind of hyperactive behaviors. It is thought they may trigger the release of histamine or cause inflammatory changes in the brain, disrupting normal function of the brain. There is also neuroinflammation, which is the triggering of the brain's immune response. Many processed foods containing additives are low in nutrients and can promote a state of systemic inflammation in the body, and this inflammation can extend to the brain. Things like emulsifiers like plosorbate 80 and carboxymethylamine cellulose, commonly in ice cream and sauces, may disrupt the gut microbiome. An unhealthy gut can signal the brain to activate microglia, which is the brain's immune cells, leading to chronic neuroinflammation, which is linked to conditions like depression, anxiety, and cognitive decline. This can also trigger things like brain cancer, brain tumors, and so on. Then we have oxidative stress, which creates rust, kind of rust in the brain. The brain is particularly vulnerable to oxidative stress. An imbalance between harmful free radicals and protective antioxidants. Some additives actually can increase this burden of free radicals. certain metal-based additives like aluminum, which is used as an anti-caking agent for those who are involved in bakery. Some of the bakers use aluminum as an anti-caking agent. This metal-based additive can accumulate in your body and promote oxidative stress, which is a key player in neurodegenerative diseases like Alzheimer's. So be aware of that. These additives are deadly. They may trigger things like Alzheimer's. Now, there's also disruption of neurotransmitters, which start to alter the brain communication systems. The brain functions through delicate chemical messengers called neurotransmitters. These food additives, or some of these additives, can interfere with their production or balance of these neurotransmitters. In fact, the artificial sweetener aspartame, when metabolized, it produces phenylalanine, which can, in large quantities, actually interfere with the synthesis of key neurotransmitters like serotonin and dopamine, potentially affecting your mood and cognition. So watch out. The foods you eat, make sure these food additives are far away from your kitchen. Then we have another problem, the excessive sugar, the blood sugar roller coaster and brain energy. When you have highs and then a sudden crash, these are the blood sugar roller coaster and energy. The brain is highly dependent on a steady glucose supply. I would say, don't get me wrong, the brain needs a steady glucose supply. However, consuming a large amount of refined sugar causes a rapid spike in your blood glucose. To counter this spike, your pancreas now tries to release a large amount of insulin. This can often lead to a sharp drop in your blood sugar. This crash leads to symptoms like brain fog, difficulty in concentrating, irritability, fatigue, and anxiety. Also, there is inflammation, the fire in the brain. Chronically, when you have high blood sugar, this can promote a state of systemic inflammation throughout the body. This includes your brain. Most people consider the physical other parts of their body. They normally don't think that the brain is also affected by this inflammation caused by high blood sugar. High blood sugar levels can activate the immune cells called microglia. When chronically activated, these cells actually release pro-inflammatory chemicals called cytokines. This state of neuroinflammation is a known contributor to brain cell damage and is linked to an increased risk of depression, anxiety, and neurodegenerative diseases like Alzheimer's. You know, a few people I know suffered from this dreadful disease, Alzheimer's. And in one case, I think the cause was high blood sugar level in the body of this individual. So Alzheimer's is one of those diseases you should be careful about, especially when it comes to blood sugar levels. Now there's also oxidative stress, rusting the brain. High blood glucose levels can increase the production of harmful molecules called free radicals. These molecules cause damage through a process called oxidative stress. The brain is exceptionally vulnerable to oxidative stress because of its high energy demand and fat-rich content. This damage can wear down brain cells, impair their function, and is a key player in the development of conditions like Alzheimer's and Parkinson's disease. Some of you may be wondering what causes Alzheimer's disease or Parkinson's disease. Yes, we are now trying to pinpoint some of the culprits. Excessive sugar be one of them, and the free radicals as a byproduct of that. Also, we have insulin resistance in the brain. Just like other cells, the brain cells can become insulin resistant. This means they stop responding properly to insulin. Insulin in the brain is not just about sugar metabolism. It is a crucial signal or signaling hormone. This insulin is a signaling hormone for learning and memory. It helps strengthen the connections between neurons, the synapses, and when the brain cells become insulin resistant, this signaling in the brain starts to break down. The synapses weaken, and so communication between brain cells start to get damaged and suffer. Memory formation is also impaired. And this is why Alzheimer's disease is sometimes referred to as type 3 diabetes. Type 3 diabetes, as strong links have started to be found between insulin resistance and the disease pathology, the Alzheimer's disease. Impact on the reward system. This is when people get addicted, especially to excessive sugar. Sugar consumption triggers the release of dopamine in the brain's reward center, the nucleus and the related tissues. So people get addicted to sugar. They want to drink very sweet drinks. They want to eat foods that are high in excessive sugar and so on. So they get addicted. And so dopamine, which is a neurotransmitter associated with pleasure and motivation, gets activated. And over time, with excess sugar intake, the brain adapts by reducing the number of dopamine receptors. This means you need more and more sugar to achieve the same feeling of reward or pleasure. So that's addiction. This cycle mirrors the mechanisms of addiction, leading to cravings and loss of control over consumption. And that's where things start to get off the rails. When people get addicted to sugar, they cannot resist sweet things, sweets and cakes and all these things that have excess sugar. But as you learn later, or you have started noticing, there are diseases that are triggered by this excessive consumption of sugar. Now, there are nutrients that are raw materials and serve as building blocks for structure and growth. And having identified what to avoid, what foods to avoid, we now turn to these nutrients that enhance our brain function. Nutrients are raw materials which serve as I said, building blocks for structure and growth. And also they serve as fuel for energy production. These nutrients also can serve as protective agents. They can also serve as key regulators and also as neurotransmitters. So we start with the building blocks for structure and growth. So these are the literal raw materials needed to create new neurons. Neurogenesis, that's the process of creating these new neurons. And these maintain also existing neurons. So we start off these nutrients are proteins and amino acids. Neurons are built from proteins, and amino acids are the building blocks of proteins and neurotransmitters. Here are the key examples We have choline, a precursor for acetylcholine, a vital neurotransmitter for memory and muscle control, and is found in eggs, especially egg yolks, liver, and soybeans. And then we have tryptophan, a precursor for serotonin, which regulates the mood, regulates your sleep pattern and appetite. You can find this substance nutrient in turkey, meat, chicken, milk, and nuts. And then we have another protein and amino acid called tyrosine, which is a precursor for dopamine, norepinephrine, and epinephrine, which are critical for motivation, focus, and the stress response. So these are found in meat, dairy, and legumes. And then we have another kind of nutrients called omega-3 fatty acids, DHA and EPA. Docosahexaenoic acid, DHA, is a major structural compound of neuronal cell membrane, and it makes membranes more fluid, which improves communication between neurons. Is actually crucial for fetal and infant brain development when the kid's in the mother's stomach. Very, very essential. That's why we encourage mothers to keep taking their omega-3 fatty acids. Sources of these omega-3 fatty acids are fatty fish like salmon, mackerel, sardines. Also, we have algae oil, walnuts, and flax seeds. Then we have cholesterol and phospholipids. The brain is the most cholesterol-rich organ in the body. Most people think of cholesterol as a bad thing, but there's certain kinds of cholesterol that we need, and the brain is the most cholesterol-rich organ in the body. Cholesterol is essential for forming the myelin sheath, the insulating layer that speeds up electrical signals along neurons. Now, phospholipids are the key membrane components for this process. The sources of these phospholipids in the brain the sources, dietary sources, eggs and meat, kinds of meats. These will provide the precursors. Then we have fuels for energy production. Energy production fuel. Neurons are incredibly energy-intensive cells. Okay, so again, we have glucose, the brain's primary fuel source. Unlike other organs, the brain relies almost exclusively on glucose for energy under normal conditions. So we need a steady supply. It is critical. And the sources are complex carbohydrates, whole grains, fruits, and vegetables. These can provide a steady release, unlike simple sugars, which cause spikes and then crashes. Then we have vitamins B as coenzymes. They are essential coenzymes that help convert food into usable energy. This usable energy, as you all know, the mitochondria, ATP, within the neuron. So we need some of these foods, vitamins, acting as coenzymes to provide you with this usable energy known as ATP, adenosine triphosphate. There are these key examples that we have, like B1, thymine, B2, riboflavin, B3, niacin, B5, pantothenic acid. These are directly involved in energy production. We also have B9, the folate, and B12, cobalamin. These are critical for synthesizing DNA and RNA, which is necessary for cell division and growth. They also help regulate homocysteine, an amino acid that can be toxic to neurons in high levels. And the sources of these B vitamins are whole grains, leafy greens, legumes, eggs, and meat. We now try and see the protective agents, the antioxidants, and the repair crew. These nutrients protect delicate neurons from damage and support repair mechanisms. First of all, we have antioxidants. The brain's high metabolic rate generates free radicals. As I said at the beginning, the brain works 24/7 and it takes a lot of fuel, metabolism, glucose to function, keep function. But as it does that, there are some byproducts that are produced. Some of these are free radicals, which are generated. This can cause oxidative stress and damage to the neurons, the brain cells. Antioxidants can neutralize these harmful compounds. The key examples of antioxidants are vitamin E, which is a fat-soluble antioxidant that protects neuromembranes. The foods that you can eat and can supply you with vitamin E are things like nuts, seeds, and leafy greens. Then we have vitamin C, concentrated in the brain and works alongside vitamin E. It's found in citrus fruits, bell peppers, and broccoli. Then we have polyphenols and flavonoids as well. These are plant compounds with potent antioxidant and anti-inflammatory effects found in blueberries, dark chocolate, green tea, and spices. And then we have our lovely vitamin D, often called a neurosteroid. Vitamin D receptors are widespread in the brain. It promotes nerve growth factor NGF, a protein vital for neuron survival and plasticity. It also has anti-inflammatory properties. So vitamin D is necessary. We don't get enough of it here in Canada, especially in the winter, but we do need it. Sources of vitamin D are sunlight, fatty fish, and some fortified foods. And then we have minerals that act as protective agents, antioxidants, and repair crew. Things like zinc, which is crucial for communication between neurons, synaptic transmission, and is concentrated in the brain regions involved in learning and memory. A lot of kids sometimes don't have enough zinc deficiency. And so they suffer from all sorts of learning disabilities. They don't remember much of what they learn and so on. This applies to adults too. Then we have magnesium. Magnesium actually regulates neurotransmitters and protects neurons from excitotoxicity. This is the overstimulation that can lead to cell death. So you need some levels of magnesium in the brain to regulate your neurotransmitters and signal transmission. Then we have selenium, which is a component of antioxidant enzymes that can protect the brain. Sources of some of these minerals, zinc, magnesium, selenium, are nuts, seeds, shellfish, legumes, and whole grains. And we have key regulators, growth factors, and plasticity. Certain nutrients actually directly influence the production of molecules that guide neuron growth and adaptability. So adapting to some of these conditions, certain nutrients should be taken. For example, the BDNF, the brain-derived neurotrophic factor, is like a fertilizer for the brain. It supports the survival of existing neurons and encourages the growth of new neurons and synapses, which some people call neuroplasticity, and is essential for learning and memory. Some nutrients that boost BDNF, this fertilizer, are omega-3, DHA, flavonoids, which you get from berries and cocoa, curcumin from turmeric. You can also get it from a diet rich in polyphenols. Doing some physical exercises is also a powerful booster of BDNF, this brain-derived neurotrophic factor, the fertilizer. Now we start to talk about some of the building blocks of the neurotransmitters. The building blocks, which are amino acids from proteins. So in this slide, you can see the neurotransmitter, serotonin, dopamine, norepinephrine, and epinephrine, and gamma aminobutyric acid and acetylcholine. These are all transmitters, neurotransmitters in your brain and body. And they do different things. These, like serotonin, the function of this neurotransmitter is to improve your mood, your sleep, your appetite, your well-being. And the essential nutrient or precursor for this particular neurotransmitter is tryptophan. Sometimes when we do tests on the quantum resonance magnetic analyzer machine, some people have less tryptophan, or sometimes they have excess amounts of this nutrient, which can affect your mood, your sleep, and so on in different ways. We have dopamine and so on, which is affecting your motivation, your focus, and your reward, pleasure, alertness. For people who indulge in drugs and alcohol, this is affected, dopamine. And the essential nutrient for boosting, building this kind of neurotransmitter is tyrosine. And that's what it is there. Now, the next one is GABA, gamma aminobutyric acid, which is involved in calming, reducing neuronal excitability. And the nutrient for this neurotransmitter is glutamate. Okay. Then we have acetylcholine, which is involved in memory, learning, muscle contraction, and so on. And the essential nutrient that you should have in your system is choline. It's not an amino acid, but it's a vitamin-like compound. So these are the building blocks, amino acids from protein for neurotransmitters. Then we have helpers, key regulators for growth factor and plasticity. And here we have different nutrients also which play a role in the neurotransmitter production and the affected area of the neurotransmitter. For example, vitamin B6, pyridoxine. This is the most critical factor involved in the synthesis of serotonin, dopamine, and so on. And the key neurotransmitters affected are serotonin, dopamine, and so on. Vitamin B, which is folate, works closely with B12. It's crucial for converting amino acids and regulating moods. And the affected neurotransmitters are serotonin, dopamine, and norepinephrine. Then B12, which is a very important vitamin, cobalamin, is essential for nerve cell health and the synthesis of neurotransmitters. Deficiency in this vitamin is linked to neurological issues, and so it affects the neurotransmitter called serotonin and also dopamine. And then we have vitamin C, ascorbic acid. which is a cofactor in the conversion of dopamine to norepinephrine, and acts as an antioxidant in the brain, but it affects a neurotransmitter called norepinephrine. And then we have iron, which is a cofactor for the enzyme that converts tyrosine into L-DOPA, the first step in creating dopamine. And so it affects neurotransmitters like dopamine and norepinephrine. The last one is the nutrients, zinc and magnesium. These can modulate the activity of NMDA receptors, which are involved in the learning and memory. And zinc is also stored in synaptic vesicles. And glutamate and GABA, these are the key neurotransmitters that are affected. So these are the helpers, vitamins and minerals, cofactors that help the neurotransmitters. All right, so we now start to see the support system, the fatty acids, and other factors. So we have omega-3 fatty acids, DHA, EPA. While not direct building blocks, they are fundamental for the health and well-being of neuronal membranes, these omega-3 fatty acids. And a healthy membrane is crucial for the proper release and reception of neurotransmitters. So you want your membranes in the brain to be healthy in order for these neurotransmitters to receive and send signals to the rest of the body. They also have anti-inflammatory effects that actually protect brain cells. And the sources of these omega-3 fatty acids might have mentioned earlier on are fatty fish, salmon, mackerel, algae, walnuts, and flaxseed seeds. We also have choline. Choline, this is a direct precursor to acetylcholine. It is an essential nutrient that the body produces in small amounts, but you must get it from your diet for optimal brain function. Very important. And sources of this choline are eggs, especially the yolk, liver, soybeans, and beef. So those are two nutrients that we need in the body. Now we change gears and talk about nutrients supporting blood supply to the brain. Supporting the blood supply to the brain is crucial because it ensures a steady delivery of oxygen and nutrients while removing the waste products through lymphatic system and so on, and blood circulation system. Now, several nutrients play key roles, oxygen and nutrients, while removing waste products. Some of these nutrients, they play actually a key role in promoting healthy circulation, protecting the blood vessels, and optimizing blood flow. Now, we are going to introduce nutrients for healthy blood vessels that improve blood flow, prevent blockages, for optimal blood quality, and for neurotransmitters. So we will talk about all this in the next slides. So the nutrients for healthy blood vessels or vasculature are the following. These nutrients actually help maintain the structure and flexibility of arteries and capillaries, which prevents damage that can impede blood flow. A lot of people suffer from blood flow problems to the brain and sometimes encounter things like strokes and so on. So you need to have healthy blood vessels. And one of the nutrients that we have here is omega-3 fatty acids. EPA, DHA are the components that are critical for this. And the role of these omega-3 fatty acids is to reduce inflammation and decrease triglyceride levels and help prevent the buildup of plaque in arteries, which you all know is the start of a heart disease called atherosclerosis. These also promote the production of nitric oxide, a compound that relaxes and widens your blood vessels. Very, very important that you get a good boost and production of nitric oxide, because it will dilate and relax you and widen your blood vessels. The sources of these omega-3 fatty acids is, as I've said a number of times, fatty fish, salmon, mackerel, sardines, algae oil, walnuts, flax seeds. We also have flavonoids or polyphenols. The role of these flavonoids and polyphenols, they act as powerful antioxidants that protect the delicate linings of blood vessels, the endothelium, from oxidative damage. They also stimulate the production of nitric oxide. As I said a few seconds ago, nitric oxide is a compound that relaxes and widens your blood vessels so the blood can flow nicely to the brain and back to the heart. And the sources for these flavonoids or polyphenols are things like berries, especially blueberries, dark cocoa, green tea, citrus fruits, red onions. So these are some of the sources of these flavonoids. We also have vitamin C. Now, the role of vitamin C is essential for the synthesis of collagen, a key protein that provides structure and strength to blood vessel walls, also a potent antioxidant. So very important, vitamin C. Some people are vitamin C deficient, so they start to suffer from some brain disorders as a result. So the sources of vitamin C can be citrus fruits, bell peppers, strawberries, even broccoli. Okay, so those are some of the nutrients for your blood vessels. Now, the nutrients that can improve your blood flow or vasodilation to dilate your blood vessels are as follows. And these nutrients help blood vessels widen, and in the process, they increase the blood flow in your brain. So we start with the nitrate-rich compounds. The role of these nitrate-rich compounds is that the body converts dietary nitrates into nitric oxides, a molecule that signals the smooth muscles in blood vessels walls to relax, causing vasodilation. They widen, the blood vessels start to widen as the levels of nitric oxide increases. And the sources of these nitrate-rich compounds can be leafy green vegetables like spinach, arugula, kale. It can also be beetroot and celery. And then we have magnesium, which is also important in improving your blood flow to your brain. Magnesium actually helps relax your blood vessels and act as a natural calcium channel blocker, which counteracts vasoconstriction, the narrowing of your blood vessels. So it's very important as well here. It counteracts the vasoconstriction or narrowing of your blood vessels. And the sources of magnesium are as follows: leafy green vegetables, nuts like almonds, cashew nuts, also seeds, dark chocolate, and legumes. So those are some of the sources of magnesium. Then we have L-arginine and L-citrulline. These are direct precursors to nitric oxide. L-citrulline is converted into L-arginine in the body, which then produces nitric oxide, very important compound that helps your blood vessels to dilate, to become wider, and to relax. So remember, nitric oxide is very critical for your blood flow in the blood vessels. So the sources of these are meat, poultry, fish, dairy, nuts, seeds, and watermelon, especially rich in citrulline. The watermelon that some of you take in the summer, very important, it's rich in citrulline, which is a nutrient that can improve your blood flow. Then we have nutrients that can prevent blockages, reduce clotting and plaque in your blood vessels. A number of people, friends of mine, colleagues, have suffered from blockages of blood flow to their brain, ending into things like a stroke. So here is something for us to learn, that the nutrients that can help keep the blood flow becoming too sticky and preventing the clogging of arteries are as follows. We have vitamin E, which is a fat-soluble antioxidant that helps prevent the oxidation of LDL cholesterol, which is a key step in plaque formation, LDL cholesterol. That's a low-density lipoprotein cholesterol. It also has mild anticoagulant properties. So it has a little bit of properties of blood thinner. The sources of vitamin E are nuts, almonds, seeds, such as sunflower seeds, spinach, and avocado. And then we have vitamin K. The role of vitamin K is essential for proper blood clotting. Very, very essential. It helps prevent both excessive bleeding and harmful calcification of arteries, keeping them flexible and clear. So you need a good dose of vitamin K as well. And the sources of vitamin K are leafy green vegetables like kale, spinach, broccoli. And we have also fermented foods and animal products can also be sources of vitamin K. Now, B vitamins like B6, and B9, and B12 are also important for preventing blockages and reducing clotting and plaque in your body, in your blood vessels. Now, the role of these vitamins, B6, B9, B12, is that they work together to break down an amino acid called homocysteine, cysteine, I'd say. And high levels of this amino acid, homocysteine, are a known risk factor for blood vessel damage and atherosclerosis. Now, the sources of these vitamins B that I've mentioned on this slide are whole grains, leafy greens, legumes, eggs, and meat. So those are the nutrients for those. Now, we also shift some of the nutrients for optimal blood quality. We need iron-rich foods and copper-rich foods. So these are essential for the oxygen carrying capacity of your blood itself. And iron, whose role is actually a core component of hemoglobin, the protein in red blood cells that carries oxygen from the lungs to the brain and other tissues. And the sources of this iron-rich nutrient can be from red meat, poultry, lentils, spinach, fortified cereals. Also, iron from animal sources is more easily absorbed. Then we have copper-rich foods. Copper is necessary for iron metabolism and the formation of red blood cells. And sources of this can be from shellfish, organ meats, nuts, seeds, dark chocolate. And as we see, in the US market, we have spirulina capsule. We have spirulina capsule in the US market. We have super omega capsule. We have lecithin capsule, which supports the brain health through providing the nutrients. The brain care capsule also is in the US market, supports the blood supply to the brain. And also we have ginkgo biloba capsule, which can improve the blood supply and works as an antioxidant. So these are the products, brain care products from Greenworld in the US market. I'll talk a little bit about them later. And then we have in the Canada market for brain health, we have or we recommend things like spirulina capsule, hempseed oil, or omega-369 capsule. Yeah. So this is the Canadian market, the products for your brain health. So let us talk about some of these products one by one. So spirulina capsule. So spirulina is considered a brain-boosting superfood due to its unique concentration of neuroprotective nutrients. Its benefits for brain health primarily stem from the following mechanisms. It's a powerful antioxidant and anti-inflammatory effects. Very, very powerful product. The phycocyanide in this product, spirulina, is the pigment that gives spirulina its distinctive blue-green color. It is a potent antioxidant that fights oxidative stress, a key driver of brain aging and neurodegenerative diseases like Alzheimer's and Parkinson's. So there you are. We need to take spirulina on a daily basis to prevent some of this, to have our powerful antioxidant and anti-inflammatory benefits from spirulina. By reducing inflammation and neutralizing free radicals in our neural tissues in the brain, this phycocyanide in spirulina actually helps protect the brain cells from damage and supports overall cognitive function. So for you there listening, spirulina is a powerhouse when it comes to brain health. Also, we have high quality protein and amino acids in spirulina. It is a complete protein, providing all the essential amino acids. This includes the precursors for neurotransmitters like dopamine and serotonin, which regulate mood, focus, and the sense of well-being. Then we have B vitamins. It contains also B1, thiamine, B2, riboflavin, and B3 niacin, which are crucial for converting food into energy that the brain can use and for supporting the nervous system function. We also have in this product magnesium. This is a mineral which is vital for nerve transmission and calming the nervous system. In spirulina, we have potential to support memory and learning. So the anti-inflammatory and antioxidant properties of spirulina are believed to support and protect the hippocampus, a brain region critical for memory and learning. Some animal studies actually suggest that it can also help reduce memory deficits and support the creation of new neural connections in the brain. And then we have chelation of heavy metals. Some research indicates that spirulina's unique pigments and high chlorophyll content can bind to what is called chelation. They can bind to heavy metals like lead and arsenic, assisting in their removal from the body. This is crucial because heavy metal accumulation is toxic to brain. Also, we have spirulina supports gut-brain axis. As a prebiotic, spirulina actually can promote the growth of beneficial gut bacteria. A healthy gut microbiome is increasingly linked to brain health through the gut-brain axis, which influences everything from mood to inflammation levels in the brain. In summary, you can think of spirulina as a multi-targeted supplement for the brain. It doesn't just provide raw materials for neurotransmitters, it also actively works to protect brain cells from damage, reduces inflammation, and supports the underlying systems that keep your brain functioning optimally. Then we have the omega, the hemp oil, omega-369 and super omega. Both are good sources of EPA and DHA, which are fundamental to the brain health throughout life. They work in distinct but complementary ways. The DHA is the brain's structural engineer. Think of DHA as the primary building block of your brain. And the key role of this is structural integrity. Okay, so it makes these membranes fluid and flexible, and this is essential for neurons to communicate effectively. So that's important, as we all need these omega-3 fatty acids. Then we have lecithin. Lecithin, as I said, is in the US market, is a fascinating nutrient for brain health because it provides the raw building blocks for key brain structures and chemicals. And the core mechanism is a source of choline. So the primary way lecithin supports the brain is by being an excellent dietary source of choline. Choline is an essential nutrient because your body cannot make it sufficiently or in sufficient amounts, and is critical for two major brain functions. First is the production of acetylcholine. Acetylcholine is a vital neurotransmitter, a chemical messenger that carries signals between nerve cells, and it is essential or crucial for memory and learning, forming new memories and recalling existing ones, and focusing and attention, muscle control, and sending signals from nerves to muscles. Also, we have building cell membranes. Every brain cell is surrounded by protective membranes. So these membranes must be fluid and flexible to allow for efficient communication between cells. And nutrients must enter and the waste must exit. So lecithin itself is a type of phospholipid, specifically phosphatidylcholine, which is a fundamental structural compound of these cells that consuming lecithin helps maintain the integrity and fluidity of your brain cells. Okay. So additional supporting roles of lecithin include myelin sheath maintenance. The myelin sheath is the fatty insulating coating around the nerve fibers that allows electrical signals to travel quickly and efficiently. It's also good for brain metabolism and health. So the main component of lecithin. And so it involves fatty metabolism and can help support the overall health of brain cells. It also is good for liver health because a healthy liver is crucial for overall well-being, including brain function, as it helps filter toxins from the blood. So lecithin supports the liver function, which indirectly benefits the brain. Now we also have the brain health capsule. The brain health capsule is found in the United States market, contains extracts of 7 natural herbs. And the main thing about these herbs is that it activates blood circulation and resolving stasis, the primary drivers. It also nourishes and tonifies the blood, which is foundation of good brain health. For blood to flow effectively, it must be abundant and healthy. So in this brain health or brain care capsule contains all these 7 herbs, which I'm not going to spend a lot of time on to discuss, but to be for another day, specifically for this brain care capsule. Also, in this brain care capsule, we have Ganoderma lucidium spore powder, so which also helps the body adapt to stress. So by supporting the overall vitality and health inflammatory response, it can help protect the brain's vascular system and neurons from effects of stress and aging. And lastly, we have ginkgo biloba, which is in the United States market. And also we have astragalus, which is also part of this whole main ingredient in ginkgo biloba capsule. This blend works on the principle that a healthy brain requires both robust blood flow and protected resilient cells. So ginkgo biloba and astragalus each excel in one of these areas, creating a powerful synergy. First, the ginkgo biloba is the cerebral or brain circulation optimizer, and is one of the most well-researched herbs for brain health. So for people who want good blood flow to their brain, this is one of the capsules I would recommend for brain health. It's one of the most researched and primarily acts as a powerful support for cerebral blood flow. The key action is that it dilates the blood vessels and allows the blood to flow freely. The other benefit from this ginkgo biloba is that it enhances cognitive function and improves circulation and supports memory and processing speed, especially in the affected areas that have reduced blood flow. It's also a very strong antioxidant and neuroprotector. Astragalus is the foundation and builder resilient enhancer, is a classic adaptogen, which in traditional Chinese medicine is known for strengthening the body's core vitality and defense systems. So it has a lot of benefits, supports mitochondrial health and reduces stress and so on. So the blend of these 2 herbs creates a comprehensive support system and a better delivery. Ginkgo and better utilization and resilience, astragalus, which is optimal brain development. So in conclusion, remember, it's never too late to start feeding your brain better. Every meal is a chance to invest in your cognitive future. Why not choose a product that is a brain smart one? Your future self, that's sharp, you will need to be sharp, focused, and cognitively fit, will thank you for it. Your brain is the CEO of a massive 20/7 corporation, and nutrition is the electricity, the data, the raw materials, and the maintenance crew that keeps the entire operation running smoothly. For a sharper mind, start with better nutrition. Thank you very much for your patience, and glad that you joined us for this interesting topic on brain health. So now I would like to unmute you, and if you have any questions, I'll be glad to try and answer some of those. All right, so you can unmute yourself if you have any question or some feedback or testimony. And I hope you have learned a few things about brain health and some of the products from Green World. Anybody has something to share?
Hello, Dr. Waana.
Hi, Shamala.
Yeah. I'm not allowed to switch on my video. Anyway, good afternoon, and thank you for that wonderful, very important another presentation of Green World and yours. Do we have, as Green World members, the any method of getting US products here?
Yes, so the way I know it is that you can order online, or the office here can help you to order online, and they will ship it to your address, your home address or whatever.
Okay, they will help if we order
Yes, they will help you
from US. Okay.
to order in the US and get the products, because we have other products that are good for brain health that we don't have here. I mentioned lecithin.
They don't have some of them. Yeah.
So you can always order.
Thank you, Dr. Waana. It is really needed for parents, children, old people, everyone. Because they are all a mess with food.
Yes, we have a lot of
their choices, and
foods.
the agriculture is messed up already, and they don't read the labels and choose the proper product.
Yes.
And then even the nutrients that we could get from foods, we don't get. So it has to be supplemented somehow. Otherwise, it will be a very bad deficiency in all area of life.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Dr. Waana.
Yes, totally.
Oh my goodness. Thank you for the presentation, and you emphasize on ginkgo biloba because, I purchased this tablet and it's in my house sitting down. I take it occasionally, but with this presentation, it's going to make me more start taking it into my system because we need it. I need it. It's a very good product, as you emphasize, and it's as I said, it's motivated me now I am on the right path and I should be taking it.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes. You're welcome. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
All right. So it looks like everybody has taken away something for their own brain health. Products, important lecithin and amino acids and proteins and fatty acids are important. I mentioned them many times. The hemp oil and super omega and omega 369, and the minerals, zinc, magnesium, and so on. So I'll just encourage everybody to keep taking foods that are rich in these nutrients to keep your brain working even after age 80. Your brain should be working. There's no reason to why it shouldn't if you're feeding in the right type of foods and nutrients. Okay, we have Tinkale Mumba. You raised your hand. Can go ahead and ask your question.
Thank you very much for your presentation, Doctor. We would like you to just flash slide number 11.
Okay. Slide number 11.
Yes, Dr. Waana.
That's 11.
Yes, this one. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Okay, no problem. All right, so I guess we are ready to say bye to each other, and hopefully you benefited from this presentation. I know a lot of information, but there was a recurring theme, the nutrients that I mentioned. So it's always nice to, especially the children, the young children that are being fed different kinds of foods that are preservatives, and the kids don't know. They think pretty colors and sweet things are good for them, but they affect their brains eventually over time, become like addicted to this kind of empty calories and very destructive nutrients to the neurotransmitters. So thank you very much, everyone, for coming, and I hope to see you again next Tuesday, same time. Right. So bye-bye, everyone.